ARB.PondMarket.com. This is video 1 of our 2-part winterization series. In this video, we're going to talk about a few things you would use to winterize the typical pond or water garden, and we're going to talk about a few things you would use to make sure that your koi and goldfish survive the winter and they're swimming, not floating, come spring. One of the things we're going to look at is an air pump. Now, a lot of folks get hung up on air pump. They think it's a pump that goes in the water. That's exactly what it isn't. An air pump is a unit that sits outside the pond that pumps air into the water. Now, this is a commercial unit, and I use a commercial unit because I have several ponds that I run air to all winter. For a typical garden pond, you could use something much smaller. Now, this one here, we're going to hook up several air lines to and run them to all 3 ponds, and it's going to pump air into water. Now, lack of oxygen is the #1 fish killer during the winter time. So an air pump is going to pump air in there, and you're rest assured, no matter how much ice you get, your fish are getting fresh air and they're not going to suffocate. Another thing we want to talk about are cover nets. Now, if you don't cover your pond, every leaf and piece of trash within a 3-mile radius is going to find that pond. These nets are designed to keep the acorns out, leaves out, trash, debris, and everything else, so it doesn't get in the water and cause a big mess. If your pond gets full of leaves, you'll spend 2 days cleaning it out in the spring. I can almost guarantee you that. Now, in the second series, we're going to show you what one looks like, and we're going to show you proper techniques so that that net doesn't sink down in the water and not do any good. A couple other things we want to talk about, water treatment-wise. There's a few things we want to do to get these things going. Now, barley, if you're using barley to keep your string algae out and keep that water clean, barley isn't temperature sensitive, and as we all know, it doesn't work until it breaks down. So we want to make sure that if our barley bales or our barley pellets are disintegrated, we want to make sure that we get some barley in the water. Now, I use the Microblift brand, and I use the Aquabale barley straw, depending on the pond. This one over here, we're going to use the pellets. And again, next video come around, we're going to show you how to put it in there, where to locate it, and how to get the best bang for your buck with it. Another thing that's really important is the beneficial bacteria. Now, we talk about beneficial bacteria through the spring and summer, keeping the debris out of the water, keeping the bottom clean, keeping the waterfall looking good. It's a good idea in the wintertime to continue that process because your bacteria is dying off. You want to continue that process once a month or so through the winter. Now, again, Microblift's got a real good autumn-winter prep. We're going to use it once every 2 weeks because we have heavy fish populations. Average fish population, follow directions on the box, use it once a month. It'll work just fine for you. Now, one thing that we combine with that is a phosphate remover. You get phosphates from rain, tap water, decaying debris. Phosphates do nothing but feed the algae. You can usually get them in a water-soluble pack. You throw them in there to last you all winter. It enhances that bacteria and does a pretty good thing. Now, I don't know, Corey, if you can get in on these fish right here, but the temperature today is about 55, 60 degrees, somewhere in that neighborhood. We're getting down to the 40s at night. We can see these guys aren't exactly moving like they're hyper. They're kind of slowed down a little bit. And now the water's kind of cloudy too, and that's because we pulled all our tropicals out of the pond. The pond's looking pretty naked. We pulled all our tropicals out. We got them inside, so our water's a little cloudy. I apologize for that. But the bottom line is, we noticed that the fish are sluggish. The fish are slowing down a little bit. They're still coming up for food though. Now, we don't want to feed them those summer foods. We don't want to feed them the foods that are high in protein and the foods packed with color enhancers. We want to feed them a wheat germ feed. This food's easy for them to digest when the water cools down. If we feed them those summer foods packed with protein, it's like us eating a bowl of chili on a 110-degree day and going to play a game of football. We're going to move like a bunch of slugs. And that equates to your fish as well. It follows the same line. Now, there's many different brands of cool weather food out there. Bottom line is, make sure it's either based for a spring fall, it's labeled cool weather, or it's a wheat germ contact. Check for those things. Now, when we talk about pond heaters, there's several different pond heaters out there on the market. We've got de-icers and we've got heaters. This is a thermo pond de-icer. De-icers are guaranteed to keep a hole in the ice right around the unit. They're not going to heat the water. They're a low volt or a low wattage unit. They only use about 100 watts, less than the average light bulb in your living room, so they don't run your electric bill up. They got an internal thermostat. They only turn on when it gets really cold, like 32. They kick off to 33 or so. Now, if you're looking for something to keep a wide area of ice open, then you're going to look at a heater. We've got those available too, pondmarket.com. Now, the other thing we need to touch on is what we're going to hook to that air pump to spread those air bubbles out over a large area. We're going to use air stones. I use 12-inch air stones. I usually put 1 or 2 in each pond. Again, pond's overstocked, run a large air stone, run a couple of them. Pond's understocked or right at the level, not such a big deal. Use one, your fish will get enough air. Now we're going to pause for a few minutes here. We're going to get the net on this thing, get our air pump running, get our bacteria in there, a heater in there. We're going to bring you back when we have it all set up so you can see how it goes. Thanks for watching. Aaron B, pondmarket.com.